Hey everyone. So this is the lecture and images I'm going to share about the Soft Slab project. This is another major project, very big, will go very, very big. This builds a lot faster than coil. You'll see for sure the demo. It's the only place you can find out how to do this technique. I don't think it's in any books. So you'll need to watch the demo. I also have a very short minute-long student video that is only a minute, and it shows all the work in this one class I had 2 semesters ago before COVID hit, and and it really shows you how cool these projects can be and how big they can be. We're going to go big. We're going to go bigger than coil, even at least 2.5 feet tall or wide, hopefully bigger. And so again, you'll need more. You'll see in my demo how fast I go through clay. So you'll need some clay for this project. This project is based on modernist sculpture, which is sculpture from the 50s and 60s. There's some awesome examples of it at the Norton Simon Museum in Pasadena, if you ever happen to be in that area, in the garden. There's a lot of sculptures by Henry Moore there. I think maybe even Barbara Hepworth. I'm going to show you both images of their work, and just so you get an idea of what this project is. So first of all, we're going to go big. Second of all, this technique builds really fast, so you have to kind of support it or let it collapse and work with that. Don't expect to be perfect. It might do something really cool by folding it. It's almost like working with cloth. So you have to support it with newspaper and all kinds of stuff. I go into that in the demo. The other major part of this, and I think that's very indicative of sculpture from that period, is that there's a negative space that goes all the way through. In other words, there's a hole in the sculpture, it goes all the way through, and it's a constructed hole. In other words, think of a donut. So you have a donut with a donut hole and a hole in the middle, right? And the donut itself is hollow, because you construct it. So you construct around the negative space like that. Okay, so that's a very simple way of thinking about it. So it has to have at least one negative space. Now that's basically more mysterious than just a hole going through it. And I'm going to show you actually in this presentation here, I'm going to go right to it and show you a bunch of different examples of this sculpture from back then. And it's not exhaustive by any means. I told you about Betty Davenport Ford, a Claremont sculptor back in the 50s and 60s. She did a lot of very stylized animal forms that had these negative spaces in them. So you can look her up as well. I won't show her today. But I want to show you Henry Moore, Barbara Hepworth, and then a guy that I studied the soft slab technique from, who I got it from, Ken Price at USC. He did sculpture all, but he died just a few years ago, but he's doing sculpture all up until 2014 or 15. So a lot of contemporary stuff he did with this technique, which I'll get into when we get into it. So let me just go ahead and share screen, and we'll go for it. All right, this is Henry Moore. So again, Henry Moore is a lot of his work is in the sculpture garden at Norton Simon Museum in Pasadena. His work is sort of abstract figurative. So it looks kind of like people, but it's not, of course, not in proportion. But again, now you can see the hole here, and there's one here. So you'll have, and is there one in there? I don't think so. But the assignment is to have at least one negative space. The more, the merrier. And as you can see, this one isn't just going straight through. It kind of curves around. The openings are not just like, just the pipe going through. There's some very interesting elements going on in here. Notice also how there's space down here, which harkens back into the base, which harkens back to our 3-object project, where things have a lighter relationship to the ground. So it almost exists a little bit more independently of the ground than just a plot sculpture. And I will show you that in the demo, how to kind of lift your sculpture up a little bit in certain areas. Let's see here. Henry Moore again, and again, we have these negative spaces in the base that are, gives it a lighter relationship, negative space in here and here. This time it's very smooth. The first one has some angular, you can get very sharp corners. This is all very smooth. Again, huge negative space here. So the arms, they can have a negative space in here. And there we go. More negative spaces, all Henry Moore. He has a double one here. This is barely touching right here. By the way, I get some student examples. I go out in the sculpture garden at Chafee and show you student examples at the end of the demo. So you'll get some of those images too. Okay, Henry Moore again. And this, and you see there's different orientations of these negative spaces. This one goes, you know, they're not all just straight on at you. They read from different, the openings read from different places around the sculpture. So again, the sculpture, even though it has sort of front, back, and sides, as you go around, you see different openings. This is Barbara Hepworth, one of the few female sculptors, and it's back, you know, the art world has been sort of male dominated, unfortunately, for a very long time. But she made a very big name for herself, every bit as famous as Henry Moore. And she, again, is using these sort of principles of negative spaces going all the way through. What I love about Barbara's work is she has the roundness versus the sharp edges. So she has very smooth transitions and very sharp transitions. It's a really cool contrast. Also really cool contrast is smoothness and roughness over here. So she has a lot of things going on. And this is a negative space here. Very sharp, beautiful. You can do this with Soft Slab. You can really sculpt it and get really clean lines like this. But it's very beautiful to look through. Again, all these have sort of they're sort of rounded and they have sort of a sharp. They have a roundness and a sort of a light relationship to the ground. They're not just plop. And then she incorporates wires on some of hers, which is really a beautiful contrast too. Contrast in color, smoothness and sharpness. She has a space down here, but you can't see it very well. This is very basic, and very effective and beautiful. Just one hole, but it works. Again, with the wires. It's a little bit off center here, which I really like. I like the relationship of this diagonal here. Yeah. This is Ken Price. Now, his negative spaces don't go all the way through, but he has these openings to the inside of his sculptures that is so mysterious and sensual and sexual, and it can look very physical, like your ear going into your ear. It's really, if you ever tried to draw your ear, you realize, like, whoa, what's going on there? You have to look at your ear to see how the canal kind of slopes around and how it goes in. And he incorporates those with his work, these kind of mysterious holes into the sculpture. Also, he's using soft slab technique specifically, and that's how he makes all of his forms. I'm going to show you a number of them. And look how light this relationship is to the ground. He'll build it on top of foam supports. So all this is a slab going over these supports that he has actually sculpted, and then he puts it over that. Again, look at this, just touching right here, really wonderful. And again, this very mysterious space going inside. So this gives you kind of the scope of what you can do with soft slab. Ken Price again. This almost looks like a gourd kind of thing. These are big, by the way. They're if you've ever seen them, they have a huge presence. Some of them are gargantuan. He actually started making some out of metal too. Mostly he uses clay, but he did some clay mock-ups and then did a metal sculpture out of these. That went huge. Now, contemporary sculpture. I just went ahead and just Googled, which you can too, or you can go on Pinterest, contemporary sculpture, and you can see this idea of negative spaces from the modernist era that go all the way through the sculpture, and very beautiful uses of them. So I want to show you that it's not just 60s sculpture we're doing, where it's some of this incorporation of negative spaces. Here's the negative space down here. This time it's very realistic, figurative, like a dancer. Negative space, negative space, negative space, negative space, I like this one because it's so carved out, and he's going again into the middle. So it's not a negative space that goes all the way through, but it's pretty cool. You can incorporate that. Wow. I love, look at the dynamism here. It looks like it's on the act of falling and balancing these things. Really dramatic. Barely touching here. Smooth, sharp. again, like Barbara Hepworth's. Okay, so I think that is it. Yeah. So I hope that gives you some ideas. Please read the assignment, see the 1-minute studio student video. You can see what kind of work I'm getting out of students when I'm in the classroom and they're working for hours. And it's important for you to see that. I want you to see what college work is like, which you're not getting a chance to so much online other than me feeding you images, if you're even looking at them. I hope you are. And then also, of course, see my demo. And that should give you everything you need. Shoot me questions. This project, by the way, on the coil project, I encourage you to have an idea before you start it. This one, other than setting up your base so that you can get it sort of, not just plop on the ground, but have some sort of relief there so it lifts it up a little bit, you really kind of just go for it. This one's kind of like jazz. And the engineering problem solving aspect is how to make that negative space. And it will be a problem solving thing. You'll have to figure it out. I cover it in the video. I give you a couple different solutions for that. But work with it and play with it and explore it. It's like you almost even don't know what's going to happen next, and actually you don't. So we're going to work on this like jazz, and we're going to go big, more than one negative space at least, or one negative space at least going all the way through, maybe more. Okay. I think that does it. So have fun, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.